to the tiny island of Feis. Feis sits at the southern end of the Mariana Trench, near Challenger Deep, the deepest place on Earth. Here the team explored a reef that had never been visited and discovered species unknown to science.
Hi there, I got it on film. No one has ever dived here before, and certainly no one has ever collected fish here.
I gotta tell you, there was a moment down there where we were catching fish, and you were up there with the cameras, and you were saying, behind me, the divers are finding new species. No one's ever been here before. Sure, you know, and I was just thinking David Attenborough, but David Attenborough has never been in that situation before. We're 100 meters deep, and you're narrating the situation as we go. It was just so cool, and I thought,
you
wow.
You inspired us to great feats.
Oh my God, the pressure's on now.
From Feis, they head westward to tiny Ulithi. For John Earl, this is a voyage with a mission.
One of the things we're doing is getting a snapshot, documentation of what we see now, which may someday be, sadly, the way things were. I see a tremendous poetry in these beautiful edifices that we're diving on, sculpted by the slow time of evolution, filled with gorgeous exotic creatures, with wonderful interrelationships that have been honed over the eons. We're only beginning to tease these things out. This may all go. It's almost too tragic to think about. That's really one of the reasons we're so passionate about what we do, because we feel that we're getting a testimony of this ancient, exotic, and threatened world, and passing it on to future generations. And I can't imagine anything more important I could be doing with my time or even my life.
At remote and unexplored Ulithi, the team expected an unspoiled coral reef, supporting a riot of colorful species. But no, dull and all but lifeless. The reef is dominated by a single species of coral. Something happened here. It's not a healthy reef.
This is weird. Where are all the fish? This water should be full of sharks, and there's nothing here. And there was something slightly spooky about it. Things
that you would typically expect on these isolated tropical reefs. We're not seeing that. They're relatively barren. Why? I don't know.
On to Yap, 9 hours away. Before any diving, Mike and Kate have to get permission from the local chief. So they pay their respects.
My name is Kate.
We also have with us a group of scientists that are looking at very deep water fish all through Micronesia, and they're very interested in Yap.
And the chief entertains them with a traditional dance. Permission is granted. After the disappointment of Ulithi, they hope to see healthier reefs around Yap. Today, the team is using a special mixture of gases that includes helium, so they can dive deeper and stay longer. They hope to find more new species here. Even though the sea is warm and tropical, deep beneath the surface is a layer of very cold water. The sharp temperature change is called a thermocline, and each of the deep divers prepares for it in his own way.
In a 5 mil wetsuit, I'm not going to be cold down there. The bad news is, don't wear a 5 mil wetsuit on the surface, on the tropics.
Right.
I am probably glowing cherry red. There's no way for me to dissipate the heat except by hot air.
Well, I'm wearing a .05 mil wetsuit, cotton extraordinaire. I feel the thermoclines. When we drop through these thermoclines, there's no question I feel it. And you'll hear me shriek in a helium voice into my mouthpiece when I encounter them. But I find that after about 5 minutes, my body either numbs or gets used to it or whatever, and I feel okay.
Mike DeGree's camera is out of action, so he's going fishing too. He's done it before, but it's been a while.
All right, well, what do you say we go do this dive rather than just talk about it?
Yeah. Sorry, lunch break.
That's another thing I don't do before a dive is eat, because they are going to be experiencing that lunch for the next 5 hours as they breathe their breath around and around and around. And I just brushed my teeth.
This is a lunch worth reliving.
All right, positive and negative pressure.
The collision of warm and cold water here creates a unique habitat, and maybe unique species too.
Surface, Mike DeGree's up next. Mike DeGree's up next.
It'll be great having Mike today because you may not know this, but my very first dive with him was many years ago in Palau. I was only about 12 or 13 years old, and it was on a fish collecting dive like this. So it's sort of like for old time's sake. See if he's still got it.
The pressure's on because these guys are at their fish catching peak. I am long past my fish catching peak.
Yeah, just looking for a comm check there. Thank you. Got you loud clear.
What they find is a much healthier reef than the one at Ulithi. Numerous species of fish and coral flourish here. Some, perhaps, new to science.
Heading down this big drop off to about 330 feet. So, here he goes down to the depth. And it's bold all of a sudden. And we're only at 235 feet. Oh man, what a difference in temperature.
The fish nerds, as they've become known, are well into the twilight zone at 300 feet. The helium in their gas mix has changed their voices. When they get excited, it's hard not to smile. It's been a few years since Mike last caught fish on a dive, but like riding a bicycle, it all comes back. Sorta. In spite of their fun, the four divers are well aware that every extra minute at this depth is risky. Time to begin their ascent. Mike DeGree did catch one fish, but all the deep team can talk about are the two that got away.
What'd you find? Mike caught 2 new species of damselfish and lost 2 new species of damselfish.
There it is. Mike DeGree's capture.
Hasn't lost it.
There it is. So this is my prize of the day. It's a fish called Bodianus neoperculatus. And it's not a new species, but it's new to Yap. It's been found in the Marshall Islands prior to this, so because we've now found it in Yap, it's a range extension, which is good scientifically. But the thing that kills me is I had 2 new species, never been seen anywhere, in the net, and they got out as I was trying to pull them out. But
After so many deep dives, the gang of 3 decides to take a day off, rest, and take stock. Only 3 weeks into the trip, and already the team may have as many as 18 new species.
So what do you think is the key to your success? Why are there so many new fish here?
Well, I think the key to our success is that we're diving in a region of the coral reef that nobody's ever explored before. And we're diving below the normal depths of scuba, so we're finding a whole new suite of species that nobody's ever even dreamed lived down there.
Because I've been with you, and we go down to 100 meters, and I'm looking at my gauge, 330 feet, geez. And you guys are going, wow, look at that ledge, we gotta go there. And off you go, I'm going, you're nuts. Because it's freezing cold, it's dark, and it's a long way home.
Right.
Yap is home to one of the most beautiful fish in the world, but very few have ever seen it in the wild. Because it's nocturnal, Kate will dive at night. If the reef is healthy, she should be able to find it.
We're looking for a particular little fish that makes its appearance around this time. It's tiny, absolutely exquisite, called a mandarin fish. But there is one problem. It lives amongst thistle, and it's very good at hiding.
Her weight pays off.
I've just seen my first mandarin fish. It's absolutely exquisite. This is a male, slightly bigger than the female. It has a big fin along its back, which it raises, either when it's trying to chase off another male or to attract a female.
Too many mandarin fish have been collected for aquariums, yet they rarely survive in captivity. A few years from now, Kate might not be so lucky. A night dive in search of a beautiful fish. Tomorrow, the beast.